Life is a workout, and Smoothie King is here to help you power through. Whether you're crushing morning miles or sprinting through back-to-back meetings, give your body the energy, protein, and power it needs to help you conquer your goals. Only at Smoothie King.
We're almost at journey's end in our AI-assisted tour across Europe, but there's one more place to visit. Welcome to Travelcaster, a travel pod that takes you there. Our trip so far has taken in 8 different locations in France, Italy, Slovenia and now Austria. We're taking a trip today from Villach to Bratislava. Join us on the journey.
Attention please. S1 to Saint-Trait on the Clam. Scheduled departure time 10:50 will depart from platform 2 today.
Now the journey today is going to take quite some time. 4.5 hours from here in Villach in the south of Austria to the capital Vienna, which is right in the northeast. But it's not going to be too much of a chore for 2 reasons. I've got myself a first class reservation which only came in at €8 on top of my rail pass, so there's going to be comfort all the way hopefully, and there's also going to be some pretty spectacular scenery which we'll come to a bit later. The total journey time to Bratislava is about 5.5 hours. Now excuse the sound of the maintenance work behind me, because here is a very useful Travelcaster tip if you are travelling on trains, particularly in Austria, because on the platforms it doesn't just tell you when your train is going to get here. There's a really helpful diagram saying exactly where the different carriages are. So if you've got a reservation, all you've got to do is line up what it says on your ticket with the number on the screen, wait in that area of the platform, and the correct carriage will miraculously appear in front of you. It's a really efficient system. As if there wasn't anything more to like about Austrian Railways, not only do you get Wi-Fi on board, but if you're in business class, you can order online from a menu that appears on your phone, and 20 minutes later your order arrives right at your seat. Lovely. So we're about 2 hours into the journey now from Villach, heading towards Vienna, and having passed through some wonderful mountain scenery and some of central Austria's more industrial side of things with stoneworks and logging and that kind of thing, we are now about to be treated to one of the greatest railway journeys that you can have anywhere in Europe, possibly in the world, the Semmering Pass. And here we are now, 984 metres above sea level as the train creaks around the corner at the top of the Semmering Pass, and below us are valleys and mountains and spectacular views, and just to our left is the former Semmering Hotel, which is looking a little bit dilapidated these days. I believe it's closed, as we enter another tunnel before more views come out before us. This is wonderful. Now, in all, the Semmering Railway is 41 kilometres long. Opened in 1854, it was a marvel of engineering work at the time and remains one of the world's oldest mountain railways. And if you're travelling from the south towards Vienna, you too could be looking at this spectacular sight. Well, the remainder of that journey from the Semmering Pass down into Vienna was simple enough, and now I am in Bratislava. 1 hour later, having changed at the Vienna main station, we are in Bratislava, the capital of Slovakia. The only thing is, the trains at the moment aren't going to the main station. They've come here into Petrelska station, which is about 5 kilometres from where I need to be at my hotel. So now I've got to find a bus. The good news is I spent some of the time on the train downloading the Bratislava travel app, and I've already bought myself a pass for 48 hours that's going to get me on any bus I like.
Next stop. Request stop.
Now, during this trip, I've stayed in different types of accommodation, but here, the Metropolitan Star is an apartment hotel. So let's see what we have when we walk through the door of apartment 301. We have a separate toilet to the bathroom, which has a washing machine in it. What? And round here, we have, oh my goodness, an entire living room with a corner sofa, a dining area, a fully functioning kitchen, and where's the bed? That's in a separate room. It's over here. Huge double bed with a balcony as well, overlooking a garden. For €100 a night, you could fit about 4 people in here quite comfortably. Excellent value. Now, one of the first things you may notice about Bratislava is that although a lot of it is designated as the Old Town, the real Old Town only really starts when you go through the tower of St. Michael's Gate. 14th century fortification, it's the only gate left standing of the original city walls, and as soon as you walk through it, you notice its vibrancy of the bars in the Old Town, and the restaurants, and the people who are gathering in increasing numbers as the week goes on. And there's a whole array of choice of what to do of an evening here. Now, just like the Slovenians and the Germans, the Slovakians do their beer halls very well. The Mestianska historic brewery in the Old Town is a good place to sample some of the local stuff. You'll never pay more than about €4 for a half litre of beer, and you can get some good food here too. Whichever direction you choose to walk through the Old Town, you'll eventually come here to the main town square with the town hall building and its impressive tower. Dates back to the 13th century, although it's been restored several times over the years. And today it houses a museum that you can go into. You can climb up to the top of the tower as well. And around it, some interesting flags. I've seen the Greek flag, a Japanese one, and a French one on the other side, because this is the home of many of the embassies of other countries here in Bratislava. And also wherever you go in the Old Town, you'll notice buskers with varying degrees of talent, including a man over here playing a guitar with a lady who's doing some interesting interpretations of classics. Somebody please call animal welfare. There appears to be a cat in distress. Blimey. Now, you may think that after that experience things couldn't got any less tuneful, but I ended up in the Wild Thing, a karaoke bar, just off the main square in a little back street. It operates like this. You put 50 cents in the jukebox and select your tune. They come up in the order selected, or you can pay a premium to have yours right at the top of the list. The bar was full of students from Vienna who sounded like this.
No one else can feel it for you, only you can let it in. No one else can speak the words on your lips. And just nothing words unspoken. You feel like your thoughts wide open. Today is greater both begins, rest is still unwritten.
Given their like only 18. How do they even remember Natasha Bedingfield? You're listening to Travelcaster, today coming to you from the Slovakian capital of Bratislava. To find out how to get here and for ideas of what to do when you arrive, check out travelcaster.blog, where you'll find details of all of the places we've visited and more. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. When you think of monuments, you might imagine a statue, you might imagine an elaborate memorial. But when the Slovakians wanted to commemorate their uprising in the Second World War against the Nazis, they waited until the 1970s and built the bridge of the Slovakian national uprising, which connects the two parts of Bratislava on either side of the River Danube. Now, the bridge itself is a fairly mundane bit of concrete, but they had one trump card to play, and it is the UFO observation tower built halfway across the bridge. It is a landmark that can be seen from right across Bratislava, and although here at Travelcaster we try and stay away from some of the main tourist sites, this is one you really have to visit. Now, getting to the tower isn't the most obvious or pleasant journey to take, because you do need to walk underneath the road bridge on a noisy pedestrian walkway that does not look particularly inviting. What you do get, though, is views over the wide River Danube below, and I can see 2 or 3 of those cruise boats that take people along that river moored today. They don't look very inviting either. It looks freezing down there. I don't know if you can hear that. A howling wind coming across the Danube today as we stand at the top of the UFO tower in Bratislava. So it's 95 metres high, and construction began in 1967 of the bridge that spans the Danube. And it was in 1972, August the 26th, as the information board, when this was actually opened, and it's been here ever since. Now, 95 metres, it's hardly the world's tallest tower, but it's certainly the most impressive, and you get some spectacular panoramic views. On one side of the Danube, the old town where we've spent the evening with the castle of Bratislava standing on the hill, and on the other side, signs of a previous time from old Eastern Europe, big kind of tower blocks and tenements that were built during the communist era. Now, we have been up some towers on this trip, and many of them have been very impressive. And although the UFO tower here in Bratislava certainly looks good from the outside, the experience on the inside was a little bit indifferent. €9.90 it cost, €10 to go up in what was quite a grossy old lift, and then some stairs at the top that smelt quite damp. And then from the top of the observation deck down to the nice panoramic seating area and bar, where drinks menus were thrust at me with great speed, insisting that I should buy something rather than just sitting there to get out of the cold. Now, interestingly, the pricing structure for the tower is a little bit dynamic, so just under €10 if you get here before 1 p.m. If you come after 1 p.m, it goes up to €12, and that's the same at the weekends, perhaps to cope with the increased number of visitors, perhaps to cope with the fact that a lot of people want to come up here after dark or see the sunset over a drink. And in the restaurant, there's an interesting policy as well. It says that if you're booking a table for the restaurant, each member of your party must order at least one main course, otherwise you'll be charged a minimum of €12. So it's a way of stopping people just going up there for the view and then not buying anything. So as I say, a little bit indifferent, but the view was worth it. History is all around you in Bratislava, and if you come down the side of St. Martin's Cathedral, down the steps, and into Rudneovo Nemesi, you will see the Cafe Laura on your right-hand side. Now, there are lots of cafes in Bratislava, but this one is rather special because inside there are loads of antiques. So you can sit among the relics, sipping your cappuccino or having a nice glass of Slovakian wine as well. Bear in mind, though, it's a little hidden treasure and it only takes cash. So make sure you have some with you. However, next to it, a really important place, because there is a bust here of a man called Anton Bernolach. I knew nothing about him, so I've asked my AI assistant to provide some information. He was a local Catholic priest. Makes sense to have him commemorated near the cathedral, right? But more importantly than that, he was the first person to codify the Slovak language using several of the local dialects from round here. So he's got a lot to be remembered for. We've encountered loads of churches on this trip of Europe, and one of the most fascinating here in Bratislava, St. Martin's Cathedral, because as the centre of the Hungarian kingdom, from 1563 until 1830, a total of 10 kings were coronated in the building behind me. And I know this because on the city walls opposite the cathedral, there are portraits and information about all of them. Really interesting stuff. In the cathedral itself, look out for the depiction of St. Martin helping a beggar. He's on horseback. It's a huge bronze sculpture affair, and there he is helping the poor, which is apt because today, as I was walking out the cathedral, there was a man there begging for money. Not a lot changes in thousands of years, does it? Now, from that very windy viewpoint on top of the UFO tower, one other building was very prominent here in Bratislava, and it is the castle. You can see it from almost anywhere in the city. Now, the best way of getting up here is to continue to follow the city walls from St. Martin's Cathedral, take a left across the bridge that goes over the busy new road, and then just keep walking uphill until you get to the castle itself. Now, my AI assistant informs me that the castle was first mentioned in the 9th century. It then acted as a medieval fort and a Renaissance palace. However, the main building was destroyed by fire in 1811. So the big construction that you see today on the hill was all the work of a remake in the 20th century. Now, if you want to go into the castle itself, the entry price is going to be €14 per adult. But the grounds of the castle are open all year round and they're completely free. Good place for families too. There's a children's playground and a couple of cafes and restaurants as well. Opposite the Slovak National Theatre, a building so grand that you can't miss it, is an attractive plaza made up of fountains and a huge statue of Pavel Viedoslav, who was a renowned Slovak poet. And it's the gateway to an attractive urban park, which has got lots of statues. There's one of Hans Christian Andersen, the famous Danish writer, who had nothing to do with Bratislava, but they decided to honour him on his 200th anniversary anyway. There's also a commemoration of the plague, which claimed 15% of the city's population. And statues are a feature here in the Slovak capital. They are absolutely everywhere. Quite a few of them are interactive. You can stand underneath them or on top of them and get a selfie. So much public art, really imaginative use of materials. And as I say, they're dotted all over this city. And not far from the statue of Pavel is a very interesting building. Last night we were in the town hall square where there were lots of flags of different nations symbolising the embassies or consulates of those places. Here there is a similar building, quite grand, quite classical in its nature, but the difference is it's got a huge metal fence around it. It's got a big security office at the front which looks absolutely out of place with the rest of the area. And it's the only embassy of its type that I've seen with this level of security. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Embassy of the United States. Ever get the feeling you were followed? I was after that. Anyway, Bratislava marks the end of our European tour. In 2 weeks, we've visited 9 different destinations, which is a heck of a trek if you think about it. But at no point did I feel rushed or hurried to get anywhere fast. In each of the locations we've been to, yes, AI has assisted me in finding places to see, things to do, and stuff to eat and drink. It may be something that I could have found online anyway, but nevertheless, I think it's been a useful tool. It's also been a useful experiment. Don't forget to find out how to get here and what to do when you arrive, with loads of trips, with loads of tips of travelling across Europe. Check out travelcaster.blog. That's going to wrap it up for this season, but please do subscribe to the podcast, keep in touch, and join us again soon for more Travelcaster, the travel pod that takes you there. An important disclaimer here, Travelcaster is an independent product. We receive no commissions or payments or favours from any of the places or people that we mention along the way. However, we are open to the idea of partnering with your organisation for a future season of the podcast. If you're interested, please go to travelcaster.blog and hit the contact button. We look forward to hearing from you soon.